Did you know that BDSM and kink are healthy outlets for aggression, imagination, and attention? Hi, and welcome to The Partition, home of Kinky Wellness. My name is Dana Slosser, and I'm a sexual wellness coach that dives deep into all things kinky. I'm here to show how BDSM and kink deserves a rightful spot within the sexual wellness conversation. So, let's talk about it. Hey, and welcome back. So, last weekend on October 15th, I went to the Everything to Do with Sex show for the first time. The Everything to Do with Sex show is basically a big exposition with vendors ranging from wellness products to sex toys to clothing. But it also has educational seminars, live entertainment, meet and greet with famous people in the industry, drag shows, fashion shows, demonstration, food and drinks. Really, the Taboo show has everything. Now, this show is brought to you by Bad Dragon. So for those who've never heard of Bad Dragon is a sex toy company that specializes in custom handmade fantasy sex toys. Bad Dragon is the most interesting sex toy company I have literally ever seen. I'll leave the link below, but basically think of any alien or imaginative dick that you want, and they can make it for you. They have everything from tentacles to werewolf paws to true alien invasion. I seriously encourage you to go check them out. Again, I'll leave the link in the description. But as I said, this was the first time I was going to the show, the first time I have been. So I didn't know what to expect. So I guess I'll just walk you through a little bit of my day. So when you first walk into the venue, you're greeted by a table by Bad Dragon. And they were giving out these little red bags. And inside the bag were sample sizes of lubricants and information. And these little 1 inch, maybe 1.5 tall jelly dicks. And each bag had 3 inside. And since I went with my partner, we got about 6 of them. And I don't know. I just need to post a picture of them somewhere because they're so cute. And yes, one of them actually is a tentacle. And I just think that they're so much fun. And they're actually just chilling outside, hanging out for people to see because I think they're so funny. So some cool things that happened to me is that my partner was with me and he actually won a pair of booty shorts from Pleasure Boss, which were really cute. One, because they're purple. 2, because they say Pleasure Boss. Who doesn't want to be called that? And 3, because he won them. So really that means I won a pair of booty shorts, which was quite nice. Thank you. But what I loved most about the expo was all the cool people that I was able to meet. I had a great conversation with a woman named L.A. Wade. Now, L.A. Wade hosts a podcast channel called The Cocktail Hour and also created a game called Convo and Chill After Dark, which is a cute little game that has 50 conversation cards for mental foreplay, which I absolutely love because I think that we need more games for mental foreplay. It's a huge part. I think it's an underestimated type of foreplay that has a lot of power to it. But the best conversation I had was certainly when I met with Naked News. Now, Naked News is exactly what it sounds like. It's a news channel that delivers the news in some sort of lingerie or naked. So at the expo, they originally had a setup where you could pretend to be an anchor. So, of course, I naturally walked up and I asked if I could do it. Now, originally, when I walked up, I actually asked if I could present my news. I said, "Oh, I have news. Could I say that?" And they said, "Okay, wait. Let's test you out first. Do the script on the teleprompter, and then we'll see if we can do something else." So as soon as I got up there, I immediately sunk into this anchor attitude as if I really was delivering the news, but like those cheesy type news anchors. And they actually got a real kick out of it because actually they asked me right on the spot if I could do an interview with them about my news. So right there on the spot, I did a mini news for the BDSM Basics for Naked News, which I actually was super ecstatic about, and it was so in the moment. And so that was definitely a highlight of the day. And what made it even better is that after everything was said and done, the woman that was taking my interview introduced me to another person that was working there who got me in contact with the producer. So cross your fingers for me, ladies and gentlemen, and let's see where that takes off. Because I really do believe that BDSM and kink deserve a spot at the sexual wellness conversation. And even when I was leaving after the interview, the gentleman that was recording us actually pulled me aside to ask me a couple questions about aggression, and he brought up some very valid points. So for context, this man is quite big, over 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, and he wanted to mention his concerns for people thinking aggression as very, very violent acts, especially when it came to someone his size. And his point is very good because it's easy to conclude that aggression always means physical contact. But that's the thing about anger and aggression and rage. It doesn't always need to come out through physical. For instance, within BDSM and kink, you can create scenarios where you can release anger in other types of form that aren't just hitting each other, like screaming. Screaming is a great way of releasing anger, and it's something anyone of any size can do. Now, I find that screaming can take the edge off things. It helps me, makes me feel better. But I've also seen and read that screaming helps. Like it's backed by other studies. Like I'll find one and I'll put one in the description. But screaming has been said to help release tension in the muscles, which then can result in a release of endorphins in the central nervous system. So think about scenes that you can create where someone's screaming. You can create out of fear. You can create out of pain. There's different types of ways to release screaming and aggression through screaming, And also breaking things is a big one of showing aggression in a physical form. For instance, partners can release anger by ripping or tearing clothing or like clothing off of each other. So how about making a plan to rip off your partner's clothes? And by plan, I obviously mean don't just walk up to your partner unexpectedly and start tearing their clothes off. But I mean, sit down with your partner and ask if that's something that you want to experiment with. Because at the end of the day, you ripping apart a clothes or tearing it in half, it's still a physical representation that you're able to see that anger being destroyed, which is quite helpful and can be therapeutic. Now, I know I mentioned breaking things, and I have heard of examples throwing or breaking things in the same area that they're playing in. But it goes without saying, just watch for the small pieces and the sharp edges and things like that. I do think that if you had a big enough space, you could plan it out properly. If you had that space to do it safely in. But if you're in a small space or the pieces will get under furniture, in furniture, or it's just too close to where you're going to be having intercourse, I just wouldn't suggest it overall. I just can't see that going well. But again, it's up to you. It's your personal responsibility on what you do with. But again, I just want to make clear that getting out aggression doesn't mean physical contact all the time. But I absolutely love that conversation because it just brought up to someone that there's other ways to get out aggression. And I think that screaming is such an easy one, but yet it's something that people might miss. So Naked News was a major part of the day, but there was so much to see. They had 2 stages, smaller stages, a main stage. On the smaller stage, that's where I got to see some educational seminars. I saw Dr. Jess. She was great. She explained basic female anatomy with a vulva puppet, which I absolutely loved. But on the main stage is where I saw my favorite performance, which was done by Brent Ray Fraser. Maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't. He was on a TV show that's one of those America's Got Talent, but I think it was like Spain's Got Talent. But he paints pictures with his dick. And boy, does this man have talent. And he's absolutely a source of pure entertainment. So basically, he goes on stage and just slams his dick into the canvas. And within all the commotion, it's one of those things you don't actually think anything's going to happen. And then suddenly, just out of confusion, boom, there's this beautiful painting in front of you. It was so crazy. I absolutely loved it. So after I saw him at the show, I actually checked out his art on his website, and it's absolutely stunning. He has these great portraits of celebrities like Michael Jackson, Tupac, Mr. Bean, and Alan Cumming. But his abstract paintings are actually what I love the most about the work that he does. He uses a lot of these bright, vibrant colors. And then he also has another section of work where he just uses the point of his dick. And those portraits are actually super cute too. But really, his art reaches farther than just using his dick. If you go on his website and actually take a look at his artwork, he really is so talented. And I highly encourage you to go check out his work. So yeah, overall, I had a really amazing time. The energy was great. People were walking around super friendly. So much was going on, and and getting to speak to new people and handing out my flyers. So if you're sitting on the fence or maybe a little bit intimidated of whether or not you should go to one of these shows, just go. Everyone is so nice, and they really are there to help you, and there's so much education, and there's a real sense of community. Plus, they keep all the BDSM stuff separately. So in one section of the venue, they had created a space where you could see BDSM demonstrations, such as like fire play and how to use tools. So even if you're on the softer side of things, you don't need to go into that BDSM space if you don't want to. But of course, I love the BDSM space, so obviously I went in there. And I felt like it was more of an exhibit. It was more like demonstration next to a demonstration next to a demonstration rather than vendors. So you could tell that the exhibit was really designed with more of an educational foundation. And what was fun is when I was walking out of the BDSM space, really right around it, it's, I saw my dance class there, Brass Vixens, and they had a booth and they had a poll going. So they were giving little demonstrations and lessons, which I thought was great. So really, there isn't a reason not to go. Of course, like if you're underage or something like that, but they have everything you could need or want or need to learn about sex all under one roof. Plus, they have so much more than just sex. They have wellness things, they have fitness activities, clothing lines, they had food, beverages, dance shows, clothing, everything I had mentioned before. It has so much stuff. And the room is just filled with expertise and knowledgeable for professionals. So if you ever had a question about something, there's a guarantee that somebody there is able to answer you. Now, there were some people that were dressed in fetish outfits, but for the most part, it was just jeans and a t-shirt. And, people of all backgrounds, shapes, and sizes were there. But mostly it was filled with people who were just curious and looking to see what was on the other side. So don't be afraid to show your freaky side. And if you're in the GTA area next year, come check out the show. Because if you follow me on Instagram, I'll be sure to give lots of warning when the tickets go out, and so you don't miss it. But I want to stress that it's important to try new things, especially in your sex life. Now, within reason of what you like and your comfortability with it. Going to the show is a great example of trying new things. You're going to learn something. That going to the show is a great way to try something new or to learn something new and incorporate something new into your life. And that's what brings excitement and fun, is the variety of life, But it was great. I had a great experience. I definitely encourage everyone to check it out. But that's it for me. Have you ever been to the Sex Expo? What was your experience like? Let me know in the comments. And if you're new here or to the BDSM scene, check out my BDSM Basics e-learning at www.thepartition.life, where I make learning the basics easy. Thank you for listening. Tune in next time. And as always, stay kinky.